In the next 60 minutes here on Newsnight, DSTV flip-flops renders apology following earlier statements that appeared to directly contradict Communications Minister Sam George on the permanence of the newly announced increased value offer for DSTV subscribers.
It is an upgrade offer that is valid between now and the end of December.
Is this increased value offer permanent? We have not put a timeline to it. So it's permanent? Absolutely.
We have details tonight as fresh confusion brews over the new DSTV value offer, with some customers left wondering if those who downgrade their subscriptions will also cash in on the deal. We have the very latest for you, including 3 separate statements by DSTV. In one case, they pulled down one of the statements. Details here on Newsnight.
Also coming up on Newsnight, Acting Chief Justice calls for swift justice in prosecuting illegal miners to help the Galamsey fight.
We must ensure that prosecutions related to illegal mining and drug trafficking are handled with seriousness, impartiality.
We'll also hear from the Minister of Communications and Innovation, Sam George, faulting government's pace on calling for more action in tackling the menace. Also coming up, highly anticipated launch of Tema Impakadan train service hits a snag, with train grinding to an abrupt stop, leaving trapped passengers in sweltering heat for almost an hour. We'll speak to the Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Railway Development Authority about the reliability of the Tema Impakadan rail line. In business,
sustained decline in the rate of increase for prices of foodstuffs helped put September inflation to record levels in 4 years.
And in sports,
the Court of Arbitration for Sports has rejected King Faisal's request for a stay of execution in the matter against the Ghana Football Association's Congress in August, but the substantive case is yet to be heard.
And later on, Parliament's Public Accounts Committee recovers 12.9 billion cedis in misused public funds, but warns Ghana's purse is still bleeding.
Per the work of the Public Accounts Committee and the support of the Auditor General, we have been able to retrieve about 12.9 billion Ghana cedis. And there's a whole report on that we'll be sharing with the public at the right time.
And we're expecting to hear from you tonight, 055-1111-997. My name is Evans Mensah.
And I am Ofori.
And we start tonight with that DSTV saga. And tonight, DSTV, the Pan-African pay TV giant, has been flip-flopping, rendering an apology after one of its several statements today directly contradicted Communications Minister Sam George over the permanence of the controversial newly announced increased value offer for customers. Last night on PM Express, the sector minister was emphatic the increased value offer was permanent and had no time limit, but with the newly increased value offer taking effect today, DSTV in its first statement insisted the offer was a promotion that will end in December. Now, there have been 2 more statements since then, and they have actually taken down one of them. My colleague Caleb Ziblaim joins me in the studio with more on this unfolding drama. And Caleb, let's start with the initial contradiction that was first thrown up by the DSTV manager for corporate communications. What was it exactly? He then put this within the specific time frame, indicating that it may not be permanent after all.
Yes, Evan. So earlier this week, after the announcement, Niyama Dagadu, the corporate affairs manager for DSTV, speaking on GH1, said that the prices would be reviewed after 3 months of implementation. Let's take a listen to him.
So what we are receiving from tomorrow is a savings offer and an opportunity to see more, to get more. So what we are offering customers is more the value, more value for less. It is an upgrade offer that is valid between now and the end of December, and then at December we will review it again, like the minister said.
It's just like the minister said, except that yesterday when this was put to the minister, he was clear this isn't the case at all.
Yes, so yesterday on PM Express, the minister said that DSTV lied about the duration, insisting that the offer was permanent. He said the only time frame was that the committee would reconvene in 3 months to assess the issue of DSTV decoders being used in Ghana. He stressed that this was not a promotion. Let's listen.
It is clear. You're a premium subscriber. You want to get because you want the premium content. You pay 570. You save 295 Ghana cedi from tomorrow.
Is this increased value offer permanent?
We have not put a time line to it. Multi-choice, by virtue of their license, always need to inform the regulator of any price increase before they announce it, and they must get that approval from the regulator. And so
it is permanent until it's permanent.
Until there's the need for a price review. Absolutely.
I believe yesterday you mentioned that in December you would evaluate the impact.
No, we said in December. When I made that comment, it was in reference to the work of the Committee on Cross-Border Piracy.
And I believe today I may have seen an interview that was granted by Niyama Dagadu, I believe, on GH1, when he is reported to have said that this is subject to review in 3 months.
Niyama Dagadu was never part of the meetings we held. He was never part of the stakeholder communications that were held.
Communications director for DSTV.
He was never part of the multi-stakeholder committee meetings that were held.
So this was last night. Then this morning, DSTV then puts out another communication to its customers that directly contradicted what we just heard from the minister, reinforcing the communications manager's position that the minister was contradicting.
Yes, Evan. So around 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. today, DSTV released FAQs, or frequently asked questions, on the new deal. It was on their website. And that document was titled, "We've Got You Promotion," and stated that this promotion, DSTV's own words, would run from October 1st to December 31st, 2025. And this matches a similar promotion DSTV ran earlier this year from June 16 to July 31st, 2025, with the same terms. So yes, at first, DSTV itself described this deal as a promotion with a 3-month limit.
But there were further interesting points in that same document that raises additional questions. One of the fundamental questions was whether you can downgrade.
Yes.
Because the minister's point yesterday was emphatically downgrade to enjoy whatever price benefits there is. In this first statement, the DSTV appeared to offer up something that threw up additional confusion.
Yes, so in point 9 of the original FAQ, it says, and the question is, if I downgrade to a lower package, will I still be able to participate in the offer? And the answer DSTV provides is that it is advisable that a customer either stays on their current package or upgrades to a higher package to take up the offer. And then point 11 in the same first document released by DSTV says.
So first they say stay.
Yes.
Do not downgrade. That's what is advised.
Yeah, that's
it's
what
not
advised.
Compulsory, of course.
Exactly.
So stay, don't change.
Yes.
Don't downgrade too.
Yes.
If you really want to enjoy what we are offering you.
Exactly. And then point 11 of the same document says, if a customer does not pay enough to be active on their current package, they will not have access to a higher package. So this again reinforces the idea, which is still not clear, that if you do not pay enough for your existing package as a DSTV subscriber, you will not be able to access the higher package offer that's being offered by DSTV.
And so that was the statement that started a direct contradiction. Yes. and threw up a lot of further controversy on this matter. And then shortly after that, I believe within 2-3 hours of this statement, DSTV comes back with another statement.
Yes.
What was this about?
So around 3:30 p.m. today, DSTV released a statement apologizing for their first FAQs, which they admitted, and in their own words, created an erroneous impression of a contradiction with the minister's announcement. And then they go on to say that...
With some 3 points there.
Yes. So they go on to say that they fully support the joint statement issued by Sam George, and that was the statement issued on September 29th. And then they again went to say they confirmed that the committee will reconvene in 3 months. Importantly, they said that there is no restriction on which bouquet a subscriber chooses, but they did not elaborate whether you can downgrade or not. That was left open. Then,
so that's one that again is still outstanding.
Exactly.
Although because the minister has been emphatic, if you want to enjoy the price benefit, downgrade.
Yes, exactly.
Then you can enjoy a higher set of channels.
Yes. So in the first FAQs and in the statement issued by DSTV later around 3:30 p.m., there's no certainty as to whether a customer can downgrade and get access to this new package.
So that was the second statement, apologizing.
second
saying,
statement.
We created some erroneous impressions there. We're sorry, but 3 points here to clarify the matter. And then within
an hour
or so of that, and because we kept monitoring their pages.
Yes.
Another statement.
Yes, so when you go back to DSTV's website and you try and download the FAQs from earlier, they have taken that down.
Okay, so that has been pulled down.
That has been pulled down. Okay. And they uploaded new FAQs. And that was around 4:30 p.m. So we checked. And then in this new FAQ, DSTV described this new version or this promotion. Okay, so they removed the word promotion and replaced it with offer. So in this new version of the FAQ, DSTV has taken out the word promotion and put the word offer.
Okay.
So now they say it's a we've got you offer, not we've got you promotion, which was what was there earlier this morning. Also in the updated FAQs, they've taken away the timeline. So earlier the timeline was October 1st, 2025 to December 31st, 2025. In this new updated version, they just said it begins October 1st, 2025. So there's no end limit. So in the new updated version, it's now called we've got you offer. They've removed the word promotion, and now they say it's just starting from October 1st, 2025. There's no end date. And if you further go on about the ambiguity around whether to downgrade or not, the points 9 and 11 I read earlier is still the same. It hasn't been changed.
Just for clarity.
Yes,
what was that again?
So let me read point 9 again. The point 9 says, if I downgrade to a lower package, will I still be able to participate in the offer? And DSTV says, it is advisable that a customer either stays on their current package or upgrades to a higher package to take the offer. And point 11 says, if a customer does not pay enough to be active on their current package, they will not have access to the higher package. So these 2.9 and 11 are still in the new updated FAQs. So we still don't have clarity on whether you can downgrade and still have access to this new offer.
Okay, and there's been a day of contradictions, but also lack of clarity on this matter still. Stay with me, Caleb, because as this has unfolded, there's been a drama that has been going on for more than 90 days. We've seen that there's crowdsourcing now in terms of what the minister himself has been saying on the subject of the offer that the DSTV had first made to him. Because the main question that had also arisen was whether this new increased value offer was new, and that whether it wasn't a promotion that the DSTV itself was already running. The minister is on record as of July 4, 2025, at one of the Meet the Presses on this particular subject, where he touched on this, that the DSTV had made an offer to him before to simply upgrade customers to higher bundles, which at the time he said he will reject.
And so we would use the power of the state to protect the citizens of the state. And like I said, tomorrow is a holiday, but tomorrow at 1 p.m. I will meet with the Ghana and South Africa team in my office. And I'm clear in my mind, that meeting will not come to an end without a reduction, an agreed reduction in the price.
And so a few questions being raised on this. Yesterday, of course, we had the minister make further points on this very matter, as we have heard him assert. And I know many of you still have questions. In the last, I believe, hour or so, the minister has some statement out. My colleague Papani Eshale joins me with that.
Yes, so Evans, where he has been very vocal, which is on X, or formerly Twitter. We've just gotten a statement from, not a statement, a sentence of a sort from him. He's gone silent for so long, and many people have been tagging him for a very long time. In fact, put it into context, the last time before now that he's been speaking was 8 hours ago, when he spoke about this morning's exercise about cybersecurity, an event that we knew that the president himself attended. So he's just been responding. This is to someone who posted the latest statement from DSTV trying to apologize, and he comes to say that facts remain sacred and unitary. Still, hashtag eyes fixed on the price. With the lion emoji and then Ghana flag, Evans.
Okay, so that's Sam George a short while ago. I want to bring in President of Imani Africa, Franklin Kojo, into the conversation on the way this has played out over the last, almost 3 months now on this particular subject. And Franklin, thank you for your time here on Newsnight. Let's start with the question of how this has been handled, both from the end of DSTV and the minister. Satisfied?
Oh, well, this looks like a comedy of errors, really. I've never thought that would be here today, given what we've seen with that particular ministry in the past. I do not like to see a regulator being like a bully and then basically harassing everybody around the place. This matter could have been handled by a subordinate, really, not the minister himself. Even the NCA could have handled this matter without all the grass matters. Really? I mean, I don't understand. The minister actually became a poster child of DSTV yesterday. I was watching and I was lamenting. I said, "Son, my brother, why? DSTV is not the only game in your ministry. There are bigger issues. Internet access, which is actually the major issue we should be dealing with really right now. I understand that those who enjoy DSTV are also part of the Ghanaians. But this whole thing was not handled well at all. And I feel a bit worried because I know Sam is meticulous, is intelligent, and is quite precocious when it takes on issues. But what I saw the last couple of weeks was not the Sam that I know. And I think that he should probably reflect soberly and then say to himself that he will never, ever go down this path again with any of his, should I use the word, constituents or clients with his ministry. So I'm not happy. I'm not happy at all. And he knows that I'm not happy. I know that I feel that as young men who are trying to do a little bit for the country, we should be encouraged. But he should also carry people along. Let us just carry people along in his constituency, the country, on certain publicly important issues. I feel he should have done that, this particular one. And I think he messed it up badly. And I think I'm not a happy man for him at all. And to me, really, I think the question we should ask ourselves is, did he make that July 4th statement? And then that statement is what has come to pass now? Something he rejected? For me, that's what this is all about. If you rejected a value addition, which you said was proposed to you, and you have come back to accept it, and then you basically tell everybody that, well, go to hell, those who said you should reduce prices. Because that's what you said, right? We understand economics. We are not kids. This is not even Econs 101. When you say something that you disagree with the operator, that suggested earlier to you that they'll give you enhanced value for the same price because they are business people, so they know what they are talking about. You rejected it. You went on making statements, and we all agreed. In fact, at one point I was saying, "Wow, I think I like Sam's bravado." But at the point it started getting quite uncomfortable for me. And then here we are today. So you went round, came back to the earlier position.
I mean, fundamentally, this was done in the name of the ordinary man. And of course, this is a corporate entity, a multinational that the minister was obviously taking on. And of course, the course was a worthy one. I wonder, in these matters always, there can be a cost, sometimes political cost, if not to the minister, but to the government also, because of the way, of course, the conduct and the posturing. Do you believe there has been any of that in here? I mean, again, the question is, who comes out of this shining?
Well, first of all, in certain jurisdictions, I don't think anybody will even tell the minister to offer an apology, short of probably resigning. I mean, some people would have just said, let's go. But I wouldn't take that path. I would think that, and I'll measure it against what we recently experienced, that particular ministry itself, really. I mean, some of the very crotcheted campaigns, outright scams, for which we are still paying, does not measure up to what some must have done. Some hasn't corruptly engaged in any scam yet. You wouldn't, I don't think, and all of that. So to put him up there and tell him go because he made very infantile, quite disingenuous and quite outright insults to most of us, I wouldn't really say he should leave. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that the ideal situation, I'm not looking for it. I'll look for an ideal situation when the people who will be happy that he leaves themselves are cleaner. They are not. So, in this case, talking about the opposition. But I just want to say one thing, that my brother Sam, take your time. This industry is good. It's an industry that can be leveraged for good for the country, good, effective, well for the country. Stop this playground bully tactics. It doesn't help. Look at the bigger picture. Optimize the value in that industry, and then you remember it. That's the only advice I have for him, and I hope I'll be seeing him shortly.
But more fundamentally, though, to the question of corporate exploitation, which is really the bigger theme here, which Sam George wanted to take on gallantly on behalf of all customers, indeed, and I believe that you are. That is a bigger conversation, right? I mean, and he really within, and I have said that I believe this, yes, is turned into a controversy, but if you strip it off, it comes down to consumer protection fundamentally in the face of corporate exploitation, which we've seen all over the world, and often you need a Sam George, a government agency, to stand in that gap on behalf of the citizens. Isn't that the bigger theme here?
I'm going to answer that question in two ways. When there are fundamental issues of probably rights, elevate water to a right, elevate the air we breathe to a right, elevate the maybe even transport to a right, then within those realms, I can understand if there's a monopolistic tendency by a corporate entity who is trying to fleece us and giving us prices we can't afford, because we can't water, really. Everybody needs water. Everybody needs some, maybe even electricity, right? But all these things can be within the realms of rights. You know, I'm not a socialist, so I don't yield, but I can understand that we are human beings, and to some extent, we want to extend those rights as well. But water, fundamentally, I would obviously fight any monopoly who basically is just trying to take advantage of us. In any case, by the way, let me just say this as a side issue. Almost all the arguments against water privatization of the continent, and for which private companies were sacked from the continent, was not due to their highly priced. It was because of bad infrastructure, bad planning, which meant that the entity had to spend a lot more money, which meant that they also needed to get the money. So, but come back to the issue. If you exploit people on a very fundamental right, like water, I'll be a Sam George and I'll fight you. But on this particular one, I think people just need to walk. This is just, it's an issue of demand and supply. Watching DSTV is not a right. It has never been. For many Ghanaians, millions of Ghanaians, they don't watch it. Not because they don't want to watch it, because they don't have access to buy. What you can be done in those realms, apart from walking away or staying on, if you still like the service, the other remote probably acceptance to what you are suggesting, some was fighting exploitation in this regard, would have been solved nicely by asking the STV, oh, look, let's look at the numbers you have. Can we even go and look at the category of people who apply for these services? And then you can do what we call differential pricing in economics. And I'll give an example. When Caletra, the drug Caletra, was made to blockbuster drug against AIDS in the early 2000s, the whole world wanted a reduction. But the company, Abbott at the time, said, look, we can't give it at the same price for everybody. In America, we'll sell it maybe $1.50. Then Brazil and the Latin America wanted it cheap, just as Africans were buying it. They said, no, in Africa, the per capita is much lower. So in Brazil and Latin America, you guys are a bit richer. They did differential pricing. Kalacha was sold about close to 8.87%. And in Africa, it was virtually free. That is exactly what you do. That is what is called sitting around with smart people. But these are multinationals. They have very smart kids. And they can look at the numbers and say, but here, if you know your customer well, you can argue out and say, okay, I'm not really good to exploit people. Okay, let's look at the lower revenue. How many people on there? Paddy thing, instead of 59 cities, okay, we'll do it, let's say 50. Then we cover it with some people who can actually afford more to pay. I'm even sounding like a socialist, but that's fine. So, but differential pricing, you get my point. So in both ways, you arrive at a particular conversation and you walk everybody through. But don't come and be. Basically, what we heard was it was always someone we were hearing. Oh, they'll do this, they'll do that, they'll do that. And I'm asking myself, are you the one paying for their services? Do you know how much it costs to pay for the matches or the Premier League, which is being contested by other parts of the world because it's very pricey? So I really wouldn't. There's no corporate exploitation in the realms of exploiting a right like water.
Franklin Kojo, thank you very much. He's the president of Imani Africa, and I wonder what you make of all that. I want to hear from you. 05511119997.
And Evans, let's now talk about illegal mining, also known as Galamsey. And Acting Chief Justice, Justice Paul Baffoe, is urging magistrates and judges to prioritize the prosecution of individuals involved, regardless of their social status or political affiliation. This call to action comes as the country grapples with the devastating impact of Galamsey. Speaking at the 2025 annual general meeting of the Association of Magistrates and Judges of Ghana, Justice Baffoe said there is a need to quickly and impartially adjudicate Galamsey cases when sufficient evidence is presented.
The judicial's mandate and responsibility in relation to Galamsey, environmental degradation and drug abuse. As members of the judiciary, we are not policy makers, and we do not wield the enforcement powers of the executive. Yet our constitutional role is neither passive nor peripheral. We are the guardians of justice, custodians of the law, and interpreters of the nation's conscience. So our responsibilities in confronting these challenges include upholding the law. We must ensure that prosecutions related to illegal mining and drug trafficking and abuse are handled with seriousness, impartiality, and urgency. And I mean urgency. Where there is evidence, the law must be applied without fear or favor. No person, and I mean no person, regardless of their political affiliation or social status, should be immune from justice.
So Evans, the Communications Minister, Sam George, was on PM Express yesterday, and he told you that President John Mahama could have done more in his 9 months in office to tackle the menace.
President Mahama has been president for 9 months now. Do I wish I have seen more? Absolutely. I wish it ended today. But in the 9 months, I can confidently say that I see a desire and a will to deal with Galamsey that didn't exist in the previous 8 years. I see a president who has asked the security services to investigate 2 of his own national executives on allegation of being involved in Galamsey. Meanwhile, under the previous president, you had a regional chairman talking to a minister saying that they must engage in Galamsey because party Hiasika. And the president went to campaign for that individual in their party elections.
You said that, would you have wanted for us to do more? Speaking to the president, you said absolutely yes. What more would you have wanted him to do?
A lot more in terms of enforcement. We could move a bit faster. I believe that there could be a lot more. And
you heard the Communications Minister Sam George speaking to Evans Mensah on PM Express last night.
And talking about Galamsey, we will be launching a series on this pretty shortly, sometime next week. As you know, the epicenter, as far as the impact of illegal mining, appears now to be the Central Region. The Central Regional Minister had been on the show, myself and you, talking to us about the impact there following the shutdown of the Okadjakrom water treatment plants, and he talks about how 10 districts will be affected. The team had been to the Central Region trying to gauge the impact, and they've returned with a 10-part series that will be going live from next week. This is an excerpt.
I've been reluctant to implement a state of emergency in the Galamsey fight.
Central Region,
We've not exhausted the powers we even have.
Dear Mahama, why do you hesitate?
Pure water, 4. No,
Using this water when administrating is a bit difficult for me.
It's
going to be an outbreak of cholera. It has even started.
Water treatment plants collapsing under heavy silt.
We must ban it. So we all drink. When Ghanaians have voted for me, I will take that responsibility.
Dear Mahama, the time has come to take responsibility.
Mr. President, Mr. President, Mr. President, Mr. President.
So, Mr. President, President John Dramani Mahama.
Put a stop to illegal mining.
Dear Mahama, stop Galamsey. The joining series coming soon.
You want to catch it across many of our social media platforms. In fact, all of our social media platforms once it's launched. Look out for it sometime next week. I want to take you now to the 2025 Annual General Meeting of the Association of Magistrates and Judges. And we've been hearing today from the Attorney General and Minister of Justice, Dominic Ayine, who has been lamenting the poor state of many courts across the country. My colleague Fatal Bayaga was there for us and joins us in the studio with more on this. So what did the Attorney General say will be done about the challenge that he so aptly identifies?
Evans, he said that this is very, very critical and steps need to be taken immediately to address the situation. And he said that he's going to collaborate with the Judiciary Service, Parliament, to ensure that resources are put together to immediately support these courts in order to help them expedite when it comes to the administration of justice.
We must also be frank about the obstacles before us. The first and most prominent obstacle is a gap in infrastructure. Many courts, especially in rural areas, lack reliable internet or even basic IT equipment. And I think that the president of the association underscored this point when he talked about the fact that you lack many of the tools, especially the technological tools that you need to be able to work. As Attorney General and Minister of Justice, I am committed to collaborating with the Judicial Service and His Lordship the Chief Justice and Parliament to modernize our procedural laws and align them with technological realities.
And it appears that the Attorney General is very concerned also about the use of technology, and he wants to do more there, right?
So he said that it is very important for the courts to now use technology and ensuring that they expedite, when it comes to the delivery of justice. So he said that they should utilize technology to improve the efficiency of justice delivery.
Let me first commend the leadership of the association for choosing such a timely and forward-looking theme, that is leveraging technology for justice delivery in Ghana. Our courts are revered for their independence and fidelity to the Constitution. Yet we must acknowledge candidly that justice delayed is justice denied. Prolonged adjournments, missing dockets, and mounting case backlogs continue to erode public confidence in the justice system. Technology offers us the tools to meet these challenges. E-filing systems can be used to eliminate the phenomenon of lost dockets. Virtual hearings can be deployed to widen access to justice, especially for litigants outside major cities.
And that there is the Attorney General speaking today at the 2025 Annual General Meeting of the Association of Magistrates and Judges in Ghana. Still ahead.
Well, still ahead, Parliament's Public Account Committee recovers 12.9 billion cedis in misused public funds, but warns Ghana's purse is still bleeding.
Per the work of the Public Accounts Committee and the support of the Auditor General, we have been able to retrieve about 12.9 billion Ghana cedis. And there's a whole report on that we'll be sharing with the public at the right time.
I want to stay with us for details of that, plus the latest on the GES investigations into the alleged molestation of a child at KNUST SHS in Kumasi. We understand that authorities are now thinking about arresting the deputy headmaster in question. Details of that right after business with George. Hello, George.
Hi, Evans. And coming up in business, sustained decline in rate of increase for prices of foodstuffs helped put September inflation to record levels in 4 years, and revised Bank of Ghana measures aimed at improving dollar supply for commercial banks takes off today. The business news on Newsnight is brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business. Centers Tanks and Pepsodent Herbal and Charcoal. Welcome back to Business on Newsnight. Now, significant decline in the rate of increase for general price levels of goods, food and other items helped September inflation ease significantly to record levels. Data released by the Ghana Statistical Service put the rate at 11.5%. We have details in the following report.
According to the Ghana Statistical Service, this is the 9th consecutive decline and the lowest since August 2021. Data from the service also showed food inflation in particular dropped significantly from August last year to 11%. Non-food inflation also eased further to 8.2%. However, locally produced items were a little bit expensive compared to imported ones. The Ghana Statistical Service believes recent appreciation of the cedi and declining global prices might have played a major role for imported items being a little bit cheaper than the ones produced locally. A careful look at the inflation numbers showed majority of the headline items considered for the calculation of inflation had been declining over the past month. The Ghana Statistical Service believes the development showed the fiscal consolidation program is getting the needed result. It also argued that inflation performance for the last few months has shown that keeping food prices low can do the trick in containing high inflation numbers.
And that is a business desk report. Meanwhile, government statistician Dr. Hassan Idrisu has been highlighting other contributors to the inflation rate decline for the month of September. He argued that the service is engaging other actors to sustain this gain.
For example, we have the 2026 budget coming up, and it is my prayer that some of these results that we churn out and the discussions we are holding will influence the policy direction of the budget for 2026. In fact, even apart from the policymakers, we engage the Bank of Ghana as well. You know, one of the major preoccupations of the central bank is to ensure price stability, or at least work towards ensuring that there is price stability. So they have very significant interest in movements in inflation. I must also say that if you look at the September numbers, one of the reasons why we've seen some drastic reduction in inflation between August and September is because of a base effect. Take the August 2024 CPI, and you took the September 2024 CPI number. It was a big jump in the CPI number. So any effort, little effort you make in September 2025 actually contributes significantly to a slowdown in inflation. So one of the benefits we are seeing.
Government statistician Dr. Al-Hassan Idrisu. But how can we sustain this decline going forward, looking at the recent pressure on the Ghana cedi? Let's hear from Professor of Economics Peter Korte.
I mean, if we do the right things, if we continue to implement the IMF policies, not that when they are out of finished or complete the program, we relax. But if we continue to be prudent with our fiscal expenditures, if we continue to invest in irrigated agriculture, if we continue to spend wisely, I believe we can sustain this inflationary pressures.
And that is economist Professor Peter Cotton. And the recent U.S. visa restrictions created difficulties for some Ghanaian seafarers in renewing their contract, leading to job losses. Now, this was disclosed by the Ghana Maritime Authority during the visit by the Deputy Minister of Transport, Dorcas Afo-Tofe. The Director General in Authority, Naval Captain Retired Kamaldeen, explained that the restrictions made it difficult for shipping lines to hire labor from the country.
When the U.S. visa restriction was introduced, the implication is that most of our seafarers were now losing their jobs. Either their contracts were being terminated or the ability for them to renew their contract was becoming a challenge. And the reason is simple. When you are being employed as a seafarer, you must have a visa for those countries. And U.S. is one of the major countries. So every ship may call or would call in the U.S. port at least once in a year or maybe several times in a year. In the case of cruise ships, as many as over 50% to 60% of cruise ships will definitely call in U.S. port. So, and when you are a seafarer on board, then you must have a visa.
Director General of the Maritime Authority, Naval Captain Retired Kamaldeen. Now, the net open position limits for commercial banks have been reviewed downwards, still effective today. Now, this was after the Bank of Ghana announced a new monetary measure that took effect from today. The action will now result in the net open position for banks revised from 5% to between 0 to 10%. They should help improve dollar supply for the commercial banks. Let's hear from the Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Johnson Isiama.
If you look at the last part of my statement, I spoke about the other measure where we revised the net open position limits for banks. That measure, for example, is meant to support greater levels of interbank, forex interbank market trading. And so all those measures are very much intended to contain the pressure on the cedi, notwithstanding the fact that we lowered the policy rate. So I encourage all of you, please make use of our data.
And that is the Bank of Ghana Governor Dr. Johnson Isiama. Now, the Bank of Ghana says he has made some significant progress towards getting Parliament to consider the Virtual Asset Services Providers Bill. Now, this seeks to regulate activities of players in the industry, including the cryptocurrency operators. Now, this was contained in a statement issued by the Bank of Ghana this evening. Now, the GCB Bank is optimistic of achieving a 30% female representation in the executive committee of the bank by 2020. The managing director of the bank, Farhana Hassan, made the commitment during the launch of the She Angels SOA initiative designed to advance gender equality and inclusivity across the bank's operations.
She challenges barriers and empowers women to rise beyond those barriers. It's not about replacing men with women, but about fostering a leadership culture where everyone shines and contributes fully. This holistic program builds competence, confidence, and connectivity, equipping women to lead with authenticity, influence agendas, and leave a lasting legacy. We've committed to ensuring women occupy at least 30% of our ESCO positions by 2028. And this is part of the strategy for the next 4 years that the board had approved 2 months ago.
And that is the managing director of the GCB Bank, Farhan Al Hassan. And that is all for Business on News.
We can do sports now.
Yes, and the Court of Arbitration for Sports has rejected King Faisal's request for a stay of execution on the Ghana Football Association's Ordinary Congress and resolutions passed during the session in August. In a letter to the Division 1 League club that was signed today, the Swiss-based disputes resolution body added that the cost of the present order shall be determined in the final order or any other final disposition of this arbitration. So they will now go into the substantive case of the decisions that the Ghana Football Association took at Congress, which King Faisal said was done with abridged notice period without the unanimous consent of its members, was done with undisclosed real and potential conflict of interest involving the chairperson of the AGM, that is the GFA president, Kete Kweku, also borders on improper bundling of issues, voted on and overvoting, denial of poll after show of hands, undue influence, among other things. And that is the substantive case that the Court of Arbitration for Sports is yet to hear.
Aju, thank you very much.
And Evans, tonight, the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection has teamed up with the Ghana Police Service to arrest the former assistant headmaster of KNUST Senior High School, Charles Akwesi Edu. This development follows his removal from office by the Ghana Education Service after a viral video allegedly showed him in a compromising situation with a female student. Head of Public Affairs at the GES, Daniel Fenye, says disciplinary action will be determined by the investigation's report.
Indeed, dismissal, that is not even in contention. However, we also know that issues involving sexual misconduct, with the Ghana Education Service, we can go as much as the code of conduct will permit us. If he is found guilty, or indeed, we are not able to work with somebody whose dignity, whose integrity, whose moral standards cannot be trusted.
Well, the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection's collaboration with the police aims to ensure that justice is served. Let's listen to the sector minister, Dr. Agnes Na Mumulate.
You mentioned the lady in question is 13. Can you confirm that?
That is what we heard, because usually we don't effect arrest and all that. We collaborate with DOFSU and then the police. So we've contacted them. The GES itself is going to exhaust its procedures, and then the police will also take it up from there. Ours is to bring it to their attention and follow to ensure that justice is served.
So again, can you confirm the age?
I'm saying that from the reports, that is what we have now.
She's 13.
The records to know her exact age. So we condemn it, in fact, without any excuse. To say that maybe these were the conditions or something like that, we condemn the act. You know what the laws of the land are. Even if you are underage and you offer yourself to a man and the man takes advantage of you, if you are the one who even went there, the law says that once you are underage, you should be protected, and that is all we do. As to whether the girl took the video or went there, don't let us justify abuse and all of these things going on. Sexual harassment and abuse is abuse and is sexual harassment. Don't make excuses for it. And let us be in awareness so that we can support people and protect them from being victimized and stigmatized, so that people will not be afraid to report.
My colleague Noella was there for us and joins us in the studio right now. Noella, so the individual in question, this deputy headmaster, hasn't been arrested yet.
No, he hasn't.
Talk to us about the vice president's position on the matter.
Well, yes, Evans, she has been responding. She reacted to some of the concerns people have raised about the GES just dismissing the perpetrator from the school, labeling it as too lax. Well, as an educationist, she explained that the Ghana Education Service is guided by established regulations, and the dismissal was only the first step, assuring that full disciplinary process will be followed to its conclusion. But there's more, and we can listen to her.
And a question of some of us not paying attention to the nature of the responsibilities given to us in any place of work. Maybe not only in the schools, the workplace. It just happening too often. And so public education is also very important, and holding people to account is also very, very important. So we'll deal with that.
I want to bring in Bright Appiah, he's Executive Director of Child Rights International, joins us on the line right now. And Bright, does it surprise you that we're talking about at least 5 days since this happened? The individual in question, we're now hearing about his potential arrest, hasn't been arrested yet. Has the GES done the best in your estimation on the back of the reports that we've seen?
Well, on the basis of their professional code of conduct, I think that's the best that they can do under these circumstances.
Can the police itself also step in?
Hello?
Can the police itself also step in?
Can
the police itself step in? Because I'm not hearing about arrests.
Yeah, it's another issue that we can discuss. I don't know how the police comes in here, but if they have established every ground that the police need to come in, then they can do so. But based on the investigation that we have, the age is also something that I would urge the authorities to properly investigate, because what is being put out there, I do not think that is the age. But
further investigation can be carried out for us to establish exactly what the age is. But if that is the age, then probably there's an issue of sexual abuse that we can invite the police to come in to also do their own investigation to establish whether that would be criminal enough for them to take any criminal action against the teacher.
Bright up here, thank you very much. This is Executive Director, Child Rights International.
Now let's go to Parliament, and Parliament's Public Accounts Committee, PAC, has made significant strides in recovering stolen and misused public funds, totaling 12.9 billion cedis. However, Chairperson Abnao Siasare warns that this recovery is merely a drop in the ocean compared to the vast amounts siphoned through reckless spending, weak oversight and deliberate cover-ups across government institutions, departments and agencies. The committee's finding paint a grim picture of financial mismanagement in Ghana, with staggering amounts of public funds being misappropriated. Abnao Siasare says without aggressive accountability measures, the country's finances will continue to hemorrhage, leaving the public vulnerable to a culture of impunity.
We are not doing what is expected of us as protecting the public purse as we are supposed to do. In this particular sitting, we saw a lot of infractions in relation to entities using internally generated funds without approval from the Ministry of Finance. So then you see recommendations like write to Ministry of Finance through your ministry for approval, write to Ministry of Finance for approval on this and that. And one thing is also clear, it is because we are not applying the sanctions. If we apply the sanctions to these infractions that the ministries, departments, and other agencies are cited for, it will go a long way to reduce some of these infractions. But one thing that I'm clear about is that what we are doing is yielding positive results. We have a report which we will look at per the work of the Public Accounts Committee and the support of the Auditor General. We have been able to retrieve about 12.9 billion Ghana cedis. And there's a whole report on that that we'll be sharing with the public at the right time. So yes, we are making impact, but we can do better than what we are doing now.
And you are the chair of the Public Accounts Committee, Abnao Siasare.
And what was the last time you were in a train here in Ghana? Have you been?
Yes.
You want to try the Tema and Pakadan railway line?
From what I've heard, no.
You haven't? From what you've heard. So you've heard, I'm pretty sure now, that it was highly anticipated, that launch of that Tema and Pakadan train service. But it hit the snag today when the train abruptly, from what we're learning, stopped just meters from the station, leaving passengers sweltering in the heat. Nearly 45 minutes it took for them to try and fix it. And indeed, it did fix it. But it shouldn't put you off getting onto that train. It shouldn't.
No, it shouldn't.
I'll come along with you. I'll come along with you. But if you want more on that story, you can find it across our social media platforms. It's on myjoyonline.com, but you can catch details on Prime. It's at 7 p.m. on the Joy News channel. And guess what? There is a major Champions League match tonight, and you only get exclusive commentary on Joy 99.7 FM.